Ideas and thoughts are bondage, and their coming to an end is liberation. Therefore be free of them and do whatever has to be done spontaneously. Ideas and thoughts are bondage. They're not bondage. Getting caught up in them is. I mean, we could say ideas and thoughts in the form of beliefs, they block awareness. And we're talking here about awareness of what is actually going on in the moment, right here and now. And we feel, not only do we allow our cravings and our aversions to be dictated to by our ideas and thoughts about things, the whole ground of our being is coloured by our fundamental assumptions. And we need to be aware of these, and we need to see through them. And then we move from bondage to liberation. And then it says, do whatever has to be done spontaneously. Again, this gives rise to the idea that somehow we do everything without thinking. Again, this is silly. The mind is a tool. You know, it's like saying, don't use a hammer. The hammer is bondage. The mind is a tool, and we need to use it to achieve certain things. There are things that need to be done. If we're going to build a house, we need to plan it. We need to think about how we're going to acquire the materials. We need to use thought. We need to use our mind. We don't just spontaneously build a house. So this kind of teaching is giving rise to some quite silly beliefs. And again, one wonders why it's here, and I'll address that towards the end of the chapter. Even as thought or idea sees blueness in the sky, sees is in apostrophes here, the mind sees the world as real. And this blueness in the sky is something which is often referred to as an illusion. There is no blueness in the sky. The inability of the sense of sight to see beyond a certain limit appears as blueness. Now, this is the first time this has been explained. I have to admit to glossing over this one in the past, because yes, of course, the blueness in the sky is an illusion, but then so is all notion that there is colour out there. You know, all colour is an experience. Colour is happening here, not out there. So that was the start of the way I understood it. But it seems here that there's a traditional belief that blueness is what happens when sight is taken to its limit. There's an inability of the sense of sight to see beyond a certain limit, and that limit appears as blueness. This is quite idiosyncratic, isn't it? And I've not actually come across this before, but it's well, I could say it's actually quite peculiar and quite funny in a way that somehow blueness is seen as the limit of sight. There are other reasons why the sky is seen as blue, which are given by physics, and you can believe whichever one you want. It doesn't really matter. And the fact is, blueness is not happening out there; it's happening in here. But again, you know, we've the Yoga Vasistha is making a point, but it's making the point based on a belief which hasn't really got any validity. And it makes an analogy with this. Even so, it is only the limitation of thought that perceives the world appearance. This world appearance is delusion, O Ram. It is better not to let the very thought of it arise again in the mind. By thinking I am lost, one comes to grief, and by thinking I am alert, one goes towards bliss. That's the choice you've got, basically, isn't it? You can either allow the attention to be lost in objects, in phenomena, or you can be alert to where the attention is and direct it back to awareness, which, according to this, is the direction of bliss. Vasistha continued. When the mind continually dwells on deluded or stupid ideas, it becomes deluded. And when the mind continually dwells on enlightened and magnanimous ideas, it is enlightened. When the thought of ignorance is sustained in the mind, ignorance is firmly established. But when the self is realized, this ignorance is dissolved. Moreover, whatever the mind seeks to attain, that the senses strive for with all their energy. Well, I suppose we could see here the nature of the mind is what it's dwelling on. But I don't really know whether we can. I don't really know whether we can differentiate the quality of things that the mind dwells on. But I suppose if the mind realizes that it's lost, then it can. And then it's having trouble. I suppose when we realize that we're not quite on the ball, it's a good idea perhaps to turn to something like the Yoga Vasistha to help bring the attention back, because sometimes it's very, very difficult, and we might have the idea that the attention is lost and not actually do something about it. So we've got to be very, very careful here. So the mind shouldn't continually dwell on any kind of idea, whether they're deluded or enlightened. Therefore, he who does not let his mind dwell on such thoughts and ideas, by striving to be conscious of the self, enjoys peace. You don't even strive to be conscious, you become conscious of the self. That which was not in the beginning does not exist even now. That which was and therefore is now is the absolute Brahman. Contemplation of this bestows peace, for that Brahman is peace. We don't contemplate it. We don't contemplate it. We realize it. One should not contemplate anything else at any time and in any manner anywhere. One should uproot the very hope of enjoyment with one's utmost strength and using one's utmost intelligence.